You guys excited?
Yeah, about the cruise. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say counting the days, but if you were to ask me how many days it is, I don't actually know. But it's kind of a month and 23 days, something like that.
Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, and as always, I'm always excited to bring our very first guest, and now he's become the guest that's been on the DCL podcast the most. We're going all the way back across the Atlantic to England, and welcome back to the show, John. How are you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm really good, thank you.
And how's the family over there right now?
We're fine. The kids are just on a little break from school for a couple of weeks, so they're doing really well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we are going to do kind of a pre-trip report where both our families are going to the Mediterranean, but this coming summer, but we're going on at different times. And I guess we should just go back and talk about where we met. We met John's family on our cruise to Norway back in 2016. We had the opportunity to sit next to him every night at dinner. We were late the first night, and I think that your food was a little bit late because I think our servers were waiting on us, and I think I still owe you an apology for that.
But that's fine. We very quickly forgave you once we realized how sociable and friendly you were.
But we just had a great cruise with your family, John, as we went through Norway. And since then, you guys, in 2017, if you want to remind the listeners, where'd you guys go then?
Yep, so we took a cruise around the Baltic, starting in Copenhagen and going to Estonia and Russia and Finland and Sweden. Perfect.
And while you guys did history and everything up in the Baltic, we went for a sun vacation and just did the magic out of Miami down to the Caribbean. And now we're all going to meet back up in the Mediterranean, but at different weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So before we go into that, why don't you tell everybody where you guys are from again and who all is going on the cruise this time?
Sure. So I'm John. We're English, as you can tell from the accent. And we live in Nottinghamshire, which is near Sherwood Forest, which, of course, was the home of Robin Hood. I'm married to the lovely Caroline, and we have two boys, Sam, aged 12, and James, who's 8.
And you guys are all going, once again, on the Magic to the Mediterranean out of Barcelona, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess I got to go back and do a lot of people come up to Nottinghamshire to see the forest? Is that still kind of a big thing when people come to England, or do you notice that?
Yeah, lots of people do come. There's a very famous tree called the Major Oak, which is 1,000 years old, I guess, something like that. So people come and look at the tree. You can Google it. You can find pictures of it on the internet. It's a big tree. It's very old. And it's kind of falling down, if I'm honest, and it has to be held up with big bits of metal. So I have mixed feelings about it. I think we should protect it because it's old, but it probably wants to die, really. But it's very famous, and lots of people come and have a look.
So people come up there for that. Is there any like Robin Hood type stuff up there for people to see or do, or is it just the forest?
Well, they put stuff on. There's a big festival every year called the Robin Hood Festival. So it's worth coming. It's worth coming for that. There's lots of activities, and you can shoot arrows at stuff, and play with wooden swords, and it's fun.
Maybe eat a turkey leg or two.
Yes, all of the above. Definitely a hog roast. I think it's probably more a hog roast. Lots of hog roasts.
Lots of hog roasts. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into the cruise then. As we kind of said, we are going on different cruises, and let's talk about your cruise and why you guys decided to go back on Disney into the Mediterranean this time.
Okay, well, I guess the first point is that we absolutely loved both of the Disney cruises, which we took in 2016 and 2017. We had a great time on the Magic. We loved the shows. We really enjoyed all the onboard activities. We did some fun excursions, ate some lovely food. And I think overall we had a 10 out of 10 experience both times. So we were really keen to find another Disney cruise, but still wanted to stay in Europe if we could for the moment. So the options to do something new were the Mediterranean. Disney do a round Britain cruise, which goes around various ports around England, Scotland, and over to Ireland. Or they do something where you head across to Iceland. And I guess in our thought process, going around Britain didn't really appeal to us. It's our home country. We visited most parts of it before, so didn't really like the idea of that too much. We couldn't get very excited about heading across the North Sea to Iceland. It's the North Sea. Sometimes I'm sure it's very nice and flat, but you are risking the weather not being very pleasant as you make that crossing. So I think we'd like to visit Iceland as a country one day. I mean, you've made a couple of podcasts about it, haven't you, with contributors, and it sounds great. Love to visit, but probably something we would do as a standalone trip. So that kind of left the Mediterranean as the best bet. And then our main concern that was Italy in particular, but also Spain and southern France, and get really hot in the main summer months, which is obviously when our kids get a big, long summer holiday. And hot, I mean 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And for us English guys that don't see that much of the sun, that's just too hot for us. So we're a bit worried we wouldn't be able to find anything. But as soon as the 2018 schedule came out last year for Disney, we spotted a cruise that leaves Barcelona on May the 26th, which just happens to be the exact week that our kids have a 1 week break from school. So that's perfect. So we settled on that. So that was our thought process and how we ended up booking this one.
Perfect. And I think Disney did a good thing, because I think the year that we went to Norway, they had the Magic sailing in the Mediterranean at the end of the summer, kind of mid to end summer, and they did the Baltic first, and in 2018 they've swapped it. When did you guys go to the Baltic again last year? I'm totally drawing.
It was exactly the same week.
Okay.
Last week of May, and the weather wasn't that great. There were at least a couple of days. Estonia, the weather wasn't very good. It rained all day the day we were in St. Petersburg. Helsinki, it rained a bit on and off. So yeah, going to the Baltic or Norway early in the season, you do risk the weather not being brilliant.
So it was 2018. This year is the first year we swapped it around. And I think that was a smart.
Yeah, no, I think it is really smart because some people love it hot, but the reality is in July and August, around the Mediterranean, it's really, really hot. So going down there end of May, early June, I think for most people that's more pleasant. The temperatures will be more pleasant.
Right, and then sailing up to the Baltic later in the summer, it's a better time to be up there as well. So. Well,
absolutely. I think it's smart.
Yeah. So perfect. And then we ended up, because you and I were kind of going back and forth to see if maybe we could make it work out for both our families to go together again. Unfortunately, our kids don't get out of school until about the 15th of June. So trying to get back over there in May was going to be a little tough. So when we looked at it, we have one that leaves on June 23rd out of Rome, and that seemed to work out best for us. And I was kind of worried, like you were talking about, with the heat in the Mediterranean, so we're kind of hoping to try and do it as soon as we could in June, and that was the fastest that we were going to be able to get over there. So unfortunately, we're not going to sail together, but we're both going to get the opportunity to experience the Mediterranean on the Magic this summer. So
exactly, and then we can compare notes afterwards.
Exactly. So, well, let's kind of talk about our cruises and what we've got planned then. So, you guys leave out of Barcelona. How are you guys getting there?
Okay, so Barcelona's pretty easy for us, much easier than it's going to be for you, I think. There are lots of flights from the UK to Barcelona, and we managed to find a flight from our local airport. It's about an hour's drive from our house, and that flies just directly down to Barcelona. As we always do, and I think as you and I recommend to everybody, we're flying out on the day before the cruise departs. So that's the Friday this time. Flight times are really good. 9:30 departure on the way out, and just after lunch on the way back. 2.5 hour flight. Very easy, actually. So I think we talk about going out a day early. And I don't think I've told you this, but on the Baltic trip last year, there was a problem on, I think, the day before the cruise sailed at Heathrow, London Heathrow Airport, where the computer systems all went down. And for 36 hours, it was absolute chaos. And some of the guys who were flying out to Copenhagen on the day the cruise sailed didn't make it. They actually didn't make it, and they had to catch up with the cruise when it got to Estonia, I think. So flying out on the day it sails is definitely risky.
Oh, definitely. And that would be like the worst feeling of still being stuck in the airport and thinking that the ship's already sailing and you're not on it. So
yeah, exactly. I think that would be pretty stressful. So how about you? How are you guys getting from the far side of the States down to Rome?
Yeah, it was a little tougher than I thought. I guess looking at prices to go to Rome, it was really expensive. And so we're using some airline miles to get over there. And we actually we take British from Portland or from Seattle to London, and then London down to Rome, and it's kind of an all-day affair to get over there. I think we leave at about noon our time, and we get there about 5 o'clock the next day in the evening in Rome. So, and then coming back, it was really, once again, I hate to keep harping on this, but it was really expensive just to go one way from Barcelona to get back, and so we've kind of got a hodgepodge of stuff together where we're going to take Lufthansa out of Barcelona up to Munich, spend a couple days up there traveling around, and then we're taking Iceland Air back. And the cost of doing all that is like $500 to $700 cheaper than if we just bought one-way tickets back out of Barcelona. Wow. So we're like, well, for that cost, let's go do some more stuff. So that's kind of what.
But Iceland, you've got to stop off in Reykjavik.
Yeah, so it goes Munich to Reykjavik and then direct to Portland, and that's been just a great find for us for Iceland Air. It's just been an easy way for us in Portland. It's a little bit smaller city, so we don't have some of the direct flights like a Chicago or a New York City does. So having Iceland has been a great way to get over to Europe for us, I guess. Iceland Air, that is.
But having a couple of days in southern Germany at the end should be fantastic. I guess, that bit of southern Germany is actually quite similar to the part of England where we live, in that lots of forest areas. It's very beautiful down there.
Yeah, we're going to stay in Garmisch, which is a ski town up in the mountains.
Yep.
And then go see Neuschwanstein, the castle, and maybe take a hike up to the Zugspitze. So, have you been there?
I have been to Garmisch. Yeah, I went in the summer as well to Garmisch. I didn't go skiing, strangely, but I only went for a day. I can't even remember why I was there. But I haven't been to Neuschwanstein Castle, so I wouldn't say it's an area I know really well, but I have been.
Yeah, so that's kind of our plans to getting over there and then coming back. So let's talk about your guys' cruise then. It leaves out of Barcelona, and it's a 7-day cruise. And before we get into like some of the more specific stuff, where all does it go? Or do you have that down in front of you? Or otherwise I can talk about it.
Yeah. So, we start in Barcelona, a 7-night cruise. So the first day is a sea day. And then we arrive in Naples as our first port. And then the next day we're in Civitavecchia, which is the port that you arrive at for trips out to Rome. The day after that we're in Livorno, which is the port closest to both the cities of Pisa and Florence. And then our final destination port is Cannes in the south of France, followed by another sea day before we get back to Barcelona.
Perfect. And I like the fact that you guys have a sea day before your last day. That's kind of a nice. I always liked that, I guess, having that sea day to kind of relax one more day before you get off the ship.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this time when we get into it, you'll find out that the excursions that we're taking in most of the ports are pretty full-on excursions. So I think we will need that sea day just to relax and sit around and reflect on everything we've done.
Right. So, let's talk about when you guys get to Barcelona. Do you have any plans there before you get on the ship?
Well, we're only going to be there for a few hours, so we arrive on the Friday sometime just after lunch. So, by the time we've got a taxi down to where we're staying, it'll be mid-afternoon, I guess. So we wanted to stay, given that we won't have that much time, we wanted to stay somewhere near the Basilica de la Sagrada Familia, which is Gaudi's famous unfinished church. And I just looked around on TripAdvisor to see what I could find in that part of Barcelona. And I found an apartment hotel, which is about a 5-minute walk away from the Basilica. And the advantage of an apartment hotel is obviously you tend to get slightly more space. And this one gives us 2 bedrooms as well as a sitting area. And Barcelona is a major city. Hotels tend to be quite expensive, but we've managed to get this apartment for pretty much the same price as a standard hotel room. And it gets good reviews on TripAdvisor, so I'm hoping it'll turn out to be a good choice. So that's where we're staying. It's not right in the city centre, because the Basilica is not right in the city centre. So the only downside is probably that we won't have time to walk down to Las Ramblas, which is the big touristy area right in the middle of Barcelona, and explore that. But hey, I guess that just gives us an excuse to go back for a longer visit some other time.
Oh, definitely. So that sounds like a good start off to the to your cruise, kind of exploring a little bit of Barcelona. Is that the church that it kind of looks like a cake? Am I right? Is that what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah, it's got lots of spires and things sticking up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But it's unfinished, so they've been working on it for I think 100 years or so.
Wow.
I think the plan is to get it finished in, I can't remember, 2026, something like that. So my only tip for anybody going to Barcelona, it's very popular. It's a very popular destination. And you pretty much do have to buy tickets on the internet beforehand if you want to be sure of getting in.
Perfect. And so then how are you guys going to get down to the ship from there?
I think it's easy. I think it's the Barcelona cruise port is right in the middle of town. So it's probably 15 minutes in a taxi just down there. So, we'll just ask the guys at reception to sort us a taxi. It'll be easy. So we'll just the apartment hotel, I suppose, one of the only thing it doesn't have facility wise, doesn't have any restaurant facilities at all. So on that Saturday morning, we'll just shoot out somewhere and find some breakfast. It's a major city. It's not going to be a problem finding something. And then we'll just take a taxi down late morning. We've got an 11:30 check-in slot for the Magic. So, we'll head down there for 11:30.
Perfect. And you guys like to get on the ship early, don't you?
Yeah, we do. There's not a lot happening when you get on the ship. And obviously your cabin isn't available till 1:30. But Cabanas is open, and one of the other restaurants on the rotations are always open. So we'll just get on. I guess we'll be on by midday, probably, barring delays. We'll head up to Cabanas and have some food and stare out of the windows and watch everybody get on and just chill out and wait till the cabin's ready. I think it gives you a chance to get into your cabin, get unpacked, relax before the sail away party at whatever time that is, 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to. I think when we went to Norway, we were the last bus to pull up, and they were kind of closing down the whole check-in facility when we got on. So it was kind of like get on, go to your cabin. The next thing you know, you're at your muster drill, and then you're headed to dinner. So it's kind of nice to get on and just kind of relax a little bit. I think, like you guys.
Yeah. Why rush around if you don't have to?
Right. So
I think the earlier you get to check in as well, the less crowded it is. I think by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, some of those check-ins get really, really busy. So I prefer to beat the rush.
Have you guys sailed out of Barcelona before on a different cruise, or by any chance?
No, first time.
Okay. So what kind of cabin did you guys book this time?
So I think we've turned into creatures of habit already, because the first two cruises we booked a deluxe family ocean view with a veranda, and that's what we've done again. In fact, we're in exactly the same cabin as we had on our first cruise with you guys up to Norway. But I think the difference, and we've loved having a veranda, and I've spent quite a lot of time standing out on it, even when it's been cold and windy. Hopefully this time it should be much warmer. We might see the sun a little most of the time. So I'm hoping we're going to have the opportunity to make much more use of the veranda and sit out there and feel some nice warm sun on us. The research I've done suggests that average temperatures for the end of May should be somewhere around maybe low 20s Celsius, which is low 70s Fahrenheit, which for us would be absolutely ideal.
It'd be perfect to be sitting out on your balcony and just kind of taking in the sights of the different ports that you guys pull into, and are kind of hanging out during the day when you get back from your excursions as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys start off from Barcelona, then you have a day at sea.
Yep.
Let's talk about like some of the things. We don't have to go into all the specifics on food and whatnot, but what are some of the things that you're kind of looking forward to doing on the ship that you guys like to do?
Well, for anybody who's heard any of the podcasts you and I have done before, they'll have gathered that we're a family that gets involved in whatever's happening on the ship. So as soon as the daily navigator, which tells you everything that's happening on the ship, arrives each day in our cabin, we'll be looking through that and seeing what's on where and what we like the look of. So we'll end up doing family game shows and quizzes, and we'll probably do some of the learning how to draw some of the Disney characters again. So we will be busy. We'll be doing stuff, whatever's happening.
Do you like to use the app as well, or do you guys prefer the paper navigator that they give you in your cabin?
Do you know what? We do use the app. I think what we've found most useful for the app is actually the menus for dinner, to have a look each day, and obviously you know which restaurant you're going to be in that evening because of the rotation you're given, to actually just look through the menu in advance and figure out what people might fancy to eat that particular evening. So we do use it for activities, but I would say most usefully has been to see what food is on.
Oh, definitely. Are you looking forward to the new restaurant, the Tangled themed restaurant?
Yeah, I am. Caroline's been watching on various Facebook groups what people have got to say about it, and I think she's watched some videos of some of the entertainment that happens with the Thuggos stuff. I haven't really taken the time to do that, but it'll be interesting to see. Well, how do you feel about it? Because you particularly liked the restaurant that it replaces, didn't you?
Yeah, we did like Cabanas. We liked the food there. It was a little spicy. Had a little bit more flavor than
Carioca's.
Yeah.
Carioca's.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Carioca's. Cabanas.
Carioca's.
Yeah, Carioca's. Because it was a little bit more flavorful food, kind of having that Brazilian theme. But no, I'm excited about the fact that they are putting kind of more themed entertainment while you're eating. Because I kind of got a kick out of the first time that we were on the Magic when they ran the show Tangled, and that night they had the thugs kind of running through, and they were looking for Flynn Rider, and they're kind of playing with the guests a little bit. And I kind of get a kick out of that. I think kind of similar to, I've seen some of the Star Wars Day at Sea videos where the stormtroopers are going around and kind of messing with the guests, and I kind of like that idea of just adding some more entertainment on the ship while you're on there.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. To be honest, my take is I quite like the surprise. I don't really want to know too much about it. I'd like to just go and experience it for real for the first time.
Right. I'm kind of like you. I haven't looked at any of the videos yet to see what they do, but we're kind of looking forward to just something different, I guess, and checking that out on the ship this time. Well, cool. So you guys are at sea the first day, and then let's, I guess, talk about some of the excursions you guys have planned. So your first port is the Port of Naples, and like you said, that's where you can visit Pompeii. What are your guys' plans for then? Okay, yeah, so Naples in southern Italy. I guess just before I talk about specific excursions, it's probably just adding a bit of context to say that we've taken a different approach this year to our previous cruises, in that James, who's our youngest, he was only 6 when we first cruised, and then 7 last year. So we tried to avoid long, full-day excursions because we thought it'd be just too tiring for him. And actually that worked really well for us, because going back to, there's always so many activities to do on the ship in any case. We were never bored. If we did a 4 or 5 hour excursion and we're back on the ship for a late lunch maybe, there were always activities to do 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock to get us through the afternoon. So that's what we've done previously. However, this year, when we looked at the excursion options, we realised that for some of the destinations we're going to, if you wanted to see them properly, really the only way was to take full day excursions. So we've gone much more in that direction this time. Another point is that we did investigate other companies outside of Disney who offer excursions, particularly in Italy. In fact, we looked at some links that you shared with us, but we concluded that there really wasn't much of a saving to be made compared to what Disney offer. And it's obviously a bit more difficult to organise with someone else. So we've stuck with Disney throughout again this time. So that's kind of my excursion preamble. So back to Naples, if that's okay. Yep.
The excursion we've booked is called Timeless Pompeii and the Flavour of Sorrento. So it's quite a long one. It's an 8.5 to 9 hour excursion. Starts off with a 75-minute drive to the town of Sorrento, which is known as the gateway to the Amalfi Coast. It's kind of a touristy town on the sea. I think we stop on the way there for a visit to a mozzarella cheese farm, which should be good. And then, it should be good. I like mozzarella very much. I plan to eat as much as they'll give me. So I think we've got a couple of hours in Sorrento, just free time, just walking around. And I think it's lunchtime, so I'll have some lunch while we're there. And then after that, we head off to Pompeii, which, as I'm sure everyone will know, was buried by volcanic ash from Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Very famous. We get a 90-minute guided tour around the whole site, and Sam in particular is really looking forward to that. He's very keen on his Roman history. In fact, the whole going to Italy thing is massively exciting for him. So I think it's going to be a very tiring day. It's likely to be, that and Rome are likely to be the days where it's hottest of all the destinations. So I think we'll be really tired after 9 hours, but should be a fun day. So you're stopping in Naples too.
Yeah. So
are you doing the same thing?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're actually doing the same tour. So our cruise leaves out of Rome, and ours is a one-way between Rome and Barcelona. And the only real difference is we get one extra port day, and only one day is at sea versus two, which you guys go to. But our second day is Naples, and we have actually booked the same tour for kind of the same reasons. We're both excited to go. I think the kids are pretty excited to go to and myself and Anawake to go see the mozzarella, where they make that. And then our youngest, Alex, is a huge... He really got into Pompeii for some reason this year as well. As a matter of fact, they had an exhibit that came to our science center a couple months ago where they actually brought some actual pieces from Pompeii, and he and the grandparents went down there and just had a blast. So this was his kind of... This is the one thing that he wanted to do, so we're really excited to do that as well.
Great. So should be a really good day.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one in particular.
Definitely. And we looked at, I threw that, we had really good luck with SPB up in the Baltic, but their prices were a lot more expensive. And when we looked at some of the other tour groups that offered things as well, I think Disney was the same price, if not cheaper. So we kind of felt the same as you did, and we've booked all ours through Disney as well over here in the Med. And
you always run the risk, if you book with somebody else, of finding you're the only guys who booked. And they contact you 24 hours before and say, sorry, it's not that excursion is not going to go.
Right. Whereas Disney, it's going to go unless for some reason there's a major reason why it cancels. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, excellent. So you've got. Here's a question for you too, because Anawake and I were talking about it yesterday. Did you guys book the early or the later dinners?
We always book the early dinners and then take in the show afterwards.
Right. So just once again for the listeners, because these are some longer days on some of the tours that you have the opportunity to take, I was looking at ours, and we are going to get back late. We're going to miss our dinners two nights. So
okay.
Yeah. So just
we're not. We're definitely back. I mean, some of the tours leave pretty early, like 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. But we're back for 6 every day.
Okay, I think one of ours gets back at 6:30, and I thought one was a little bit later. But maybe it's just right as dinner starts, but which you can rush and hurry up and still make it to dinner as well. But just something to think about as far as when you go to the Mediterranean, a little bit different than the Caribbean and some of the other cruises out there. So, well, good. So after Pompeii, the next your guys' next port, and I'm gonna let you say it if you know how to say it. I've been trying to figure it out. The port of Rome, and you come into the port. Do you know how to say it, John?
Yeah. So that stop is Civitavecchia with a ch at the beginning. Civitavecchia.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a s or a ch. So
it's a ch. Civitavecchia.
Perfectly. And so, what do you guys have planned there?
Okay, well, we go straight from that long full-day excursion in Naples straight into another long full-day excursion. And we booked something called the Highlights of Rome Tour. It's the longest excursion. It's 9 to 9.5 hours. But that's partly because you do start off with a 90-minute drive from the port of Civitavecchia into Rome. So you're not docking right next to Rome. You do have a 90-minute drive to get to the city. So once we get into Rome, the excursion is a mixture of guided tour and some free time, and we get to take in all of the main sites such as the Colosseum, the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, and then we move on to the Vatican City with St. Peter's Square and St. Peter's Basilica. So really looking forward to this day. None of us have been to Rome before, other than I did a business trip many years ago where I basically drove around the ring road and saw absolutely nothing of the city itself. So first time, Sam and James are both super excited about the Colosseum. They've looked at the pictures on the internet, but I don't think you get a sense of the scale at all. So we've warned them that it is big, it's really massive, but I think until you see it, you don't realise what it's like. So they're really looking forward to that. So it should be good. But for you, Rome will be different, won't it? Because you're actually starting from there. So do you get some time to look around Rome before you set sail?
Yeah, so we're going to get there 3 days before, and we've kind of done something similar to you. We used TripAdvisor to find a hotel that is kind of around the train station, which I've heard isn't necessarily, it's not unsafe, but not necessarily the most scenic part of the city, but an easy part of the city to be able to get around and see everything. So we're going to kind of take 3 just lazy days and kind of take our time exploring Rome and kind of do some of the same things that you guys are doing as well that you're going to see on your overall, full day in Rome there.
Yeah, no, we're going to pack it into 9 hours.
Well, perfect. Have you ever heard of the app Viator? It's a website too, Viator.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't used it, but I have heard of it.
Okay, so we've got some friends that cruise pretty regularly over to Europe, and that's their advice was to use them. They've used them for years and years and years, and so we've gone through them to book a couple different things in Rome. And I think our kids are pretty excited about going to see the Colosseum. I think that's the one that they really want to see, along with the Trevi Fountain and some of the other stuff. So, yeah, it looks like it should be a fun 3 days, and you guys are going to have kind of a whirlwind of it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very busy cramming it all in.
Yeah. So from Rome, and I guess our day 3 is we go Rome, Naples, day at sea, and then our day 3 is actually in Florence, so Livorno, and we've got it. We're kind of doing the same thing you guys are. We've got 2 long days packed in with Pompeii, and then when we go to Livorno, we're going to go to Florence because my wife really wants to go see Florence, and then we're going to go see Pisa. So that's a 10-hour day as well. And our kind of thought was, we've got a busy day at sea, a very busy day, and then we kind of wind down for the rest of the trip. But so that's kind of what we've got planned for our day in Livorno, which is our day 4, I guess. And so we're on to your guys' day 4. So I'm not confusing too many people, but you guys go to Livorno as well on day 5 after Rome. What are you guys' thoughts there?
So we thought about trying to take in Florence and Pisa in the same day, so that 10-hour excursion that you're doing.
Right.
But we decided that after full day in Naples, full day in Rome, that would just be too much. So actually we decided to take the easy option here, and the easy option is just to do Pisa, because Pisa is only a 45-minute drive from Livorno, whereas Florence is 2 hours each way. So we settled on Pisa, and it's a relatively short excursion. It's 4 to 4.5 hours, gets us back onto the ship for a late lunch. And how it works is we obviously drive out to Pisa. We get a 1-hour guided tour, taking in all the historical stuff. So I think there's a 13th century Duomo cathedral type thing. There's a 12th century baptistery. And then, of course, we arrive at the world-famous Leaning Tower, and I'll give you some very exciting facts. Its construction started way back in 1173, so that's a very long time ago. And when I was researching it, I found a very strange fact, which is that it used to lean at 5.5 degrees, at an angle of 5.5 degrees. But in the last 20 years, they've been doing some restoration on it. And as part of that, it now only leans at 3.99 degrees, which is very disappointing. Huh. So they should call it the slightly not so leaning Tower of Pisa.
I thought it was slowly kind of leaning over, but I didn't realize that they kind of propped it back up a little bit.
Well, exactly. I think it was. And I guess they were worried that if they didn't do something, eventually it would fall over.
And then looking at your guys, well, so that sounds like I think you guys and we are kind of on the same kind of wavelength of how we're looking at the cruise as well. So you got some busy days, and then you kind of take kind of a, get out there, see a little bit of the history, and those are great days as well. And then be able to come back on the ship and relax a little bit, and then just have fun that evening as well. And you have pirate night. Have you guys actually had a pirate night?
No, because it doesn't exist in the Northern Europe cruises. Don't have pirate night, so this will be the first time for us.
Okay, and I think that, I'm pretty sure that they do shoot off the fireworks as well, so that'll be your first chance to watch that as well, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it. Have you seen it?
So we saw it only because we went on the Caribbean cruise, and I don't remember. People make a big deal about they have a special menu. That doesn't stand out in my mind as much what that was, because on Awake, my wife got sick that evening, and so she had to go back to the cabin, so That was a little bit of it was a little bit of a blur. But then they have a show up on deck, and it kind of ends, and they shoot off some fireworks, and the fireworks are definitely worth getting up there to see that part of it. And the show's pretty fun as well. So
okay, yeah, looking forward to that, to be something new.
Yeah, so something different for you guys to take in. So that's your guys' day 5. Our day 5, we come on to Milan, and we're going to kind of have a little bit of a. We've gone back and forth on what we were going to do. We've decided to go to Portofino. Have you been there before by any chance?
No, but it is supposed to be very beautiful.
Yeah, so our kind of like half-day excursion is you get off, you get on a boat. If the sea, and I guess the sea can be pretty choppy, I'm hoping that it'll be nice for us. If the sea's too choppy, then they bus you to Portofino, and you get a chance to spend a couple hours down there kind of wandering around. I think they give you like a 60-minute tour, walking tour, and then they give you a couple hours to shop and maybe take in a cafe and just kind of experience Portofino, which is kind of a trendy port city, or kind of smaller port town where the rich and famous go to, I guess.
Yeah, I think if people are familiar with Saint-Tropez in the south of France, it's kind of the Italian version of Saint-Tropez, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So we're kind of looking forward to that. So kind of a lazy day, and then we come back on the boat just a little bit after lunch and get to spend the rest of the evening. And I think that's our pirate night as well. So there you go. Day 5 is pirate night, huh?
Yeah.
So from there, on to day 6, you guys go to, and I'm going to let you say it too, because I think you pronounce it better than I do.
Okay, so yeah, we have one final stop, which is Cannes in the south of France. So 3 days in Italy, and then a final stop in the south of France.
And you guys you're gonna leave the boys on the ship, and you and Caroline are gonna get dressed up and head to the casino in Monte Carlo, correct?
Well, no. Strangely enough, we're not going to do that. We did think about doing that, but what's the point of? You can't go into the casino unless you're 18, obviously. So, right. I'm not sure what the point is of going to Monaco or Monte Carlo unless you want to go and visit the casino. Uh-huh. So we kind of thought, well, there's not really much point unless you're into Formula One racing cars and want to go and say, I've been to see the track of the Monaco Grand Prix, which I'm not particularly bothered. So no, we decided we give Monaco a miss this time. So that's not the excursion we booked.
Okay. So what's your guys' plan then in Cannes?
Well, I think Cannes is going to be interesting because all of the ports we've been to on previous cruises, and all of them this time up to this one, the Disney Magic is able to dock actually at the proper port, at the quayside, whereas Cannes you don't. So this is going to be the first one where we have to do the whole tender thing, where we have to take a tender to get over to the shore. So that'll be a new experience. I guess it might be a bit frustrating. Have you done that?
We've only done it once. We did it in Grand Cayman, and it actually wasn't too bad. We had a tour booked, so they had slots on the boat for when our tour left. So it wasn't too bad getting over, and then coming back. We didn't wait to the last minute. I think we came back after lunch, and it was pretty easy going back and forth for us because of that, I guess. But we're kind of in the same boat as you. It doesn't sound like you guys have anything booked in Cannes.
No, we do.
Oh, you do? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do. So we booked an excursion called Cannes, Grasse, and Saint-Paul. So it's quite a long one. It's 7 to 7.5 hours again. And it starts off with a 30-minute bus tour around the town of Cannes, and I guess a lot of that will be talking about. There's a famous film festival that takes place, the Cannes Film Festival. So I guess they'll be pointing out all the sites of the film festival thing, and then we head up into the hills. So when you arrive in Cannes and Nice and all those ports along the south of France, you can see all the hills rising up at the back of those cities. So we head up into the hills into the town of Grasse, which is the home of the French perfume industry, and they take us on a tour of a working perfumery. And I'm hoping we get the chance to create our own super fragrant perfume. It doesn't really say whether we do or whether we don't. I'm hoping we do. I'm sure we'll create something amazing. Although we might well leave and find that we're very attractive to a local pack of dogs or something, and that we get chased down the road. I know, who knows. So we're doing perfume in Grasse, and then we move on to the medieval hilltop town of Saint-Paul-de-Vence, where we do get a guided tour. I think there are lots. It's an old walled town, so we get a tour around the ancient ramparts, and then they give us some free time to explore. So I think it'll be one of those towns where there's lots of kind of crafty shops, lots of kind of crafty, gifty shops. So so 3 different destinations on that tour, 7 to 7.5 hours. So the only bit we miss, I suppose, that some people might want to do is Monaco, but we'll do that another time.
Yeah, and I do.
You're doing Cannes, aren't you?
Yeah, we do, and I do apologize. I totally missed the. I read that prior, and I totally missed that you guys had that long day in Cannes. So for us, we decided that's going to be like our down day. I think having 6 port days is kind of tough with kids. Our kids are going to be 8 and 12, so similar to yours, and so we're going to just take a down day in Cannes. I think we're going to get off the boat and then walk over and maybe wander around the little downtown area, go see where the film festival is, and then probably just get back on the boat and just spend a day, on the Aquadunk and just kind of having some fun. So
I'm sure that, there'll be a whole load of cafes where you can just sit and get a coffee and watch beautiful people walk by.
Right, exactly.
The south of France is a bit like that. There'll be lots of people dressed very expensively with nice sunglasses and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to get out and do a little shopping for us and the kids so we kind of blend in, I suppose, before we head over there.
Yeah. So you get one final port as well, don't you, after that?
Yeah, we do. But just to go back to your guys, so I think it'll be easy for you as far as the tendering goes. Since you have a tour, they'll have it, set up as a certain time, so they'll have the boat there for you for your group to go, so it'll be real easy to do going back and forth.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, so we go to Marseille, have you been to Marseille before?
I have been to Marseille, but again, only on a business trip, so I don't really know it. I've been there, but I couldn't really tell you much about it.
Okay, so we're kind of doing a similar thing in Marseille. We are going to go, and boy, I should have done my homework ahead of time to
You're going to Aix-en-Provence, I think, aren't you?
We were thinking,
is that right?
Yeah, we were thinking about that, and then actually the booking window came open when I was working, so Anawik and the boys picked the tour that we're going on, and we were going to Cassis, which is another port town.
Okay.
And from there, so you take a bus to a train to the town of Cassis, which is kind of like another port town, sort of like Portofino. And then from there, you can take a boat that goes out to, and I'm going to butcher it, it's called the Calanques. It's Calanques. And I guess it's supposed to be some pretty amazing views. They look like basically the topography rises up, and it looks like some just quaint little coves that are back there that are just kind of amazing to see. So you kind of do a boat ride to see those. So kind of a lazy day, go explore the port town of Cassis, and then take a boat ride to kind of see some of the sights around there, and then back onto the ship. Probably about we wanted to get back early because this is our last day. We don't have a day at sea like you guys do, and get everything packed up and then just enjoy the evening.
So I went all random because Cassis is there's a drink. Have you come across the drink called Cassis?
I've seen it, but I've never had it.
Yeah, okay. And I was wondering whether the drink, it's an alcoholic blackcurrant drink.
Okay.
And I was wondering whether it came from the place that you're going to, but having done 20 seconds of research, I don't think it does. So I think that's a coincidence.
Inspired by it, but not necessarily from it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, okay. Well, that should be an interesting day. I'll have to do a bit more looking around to learn about where you're going.
Yeah, it's kind of like beaches. They're very spacious, most attractive high white cliffs, popular amongst mountain climbers. So these are pretty steep and tall cliffs that I guess we're going to be able to see. Kind of reminds me maybe of. Did you guys in Stavanger? Did you guys do the boat tour in Stavanger where you went down the fjord and saw kind of like Pulpit Rock and how tall that was? I don't think it's as tall as that, but kind of just that high cliffs. And whatnot.
we didn't do that. No.
Okay, so maybe a Mediterranean kind of version of that. So.
Yeah, no, that should be good. Should be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll have to find out when we get back. But yeah, so that's then the next day we're off in Barcelona, and you guys have your day at sea. Any and I guess I can jump into this question before we finish up. But any other things that you're looking at doing on the boat that we haven't talked about for your last day at sea that you'd like to do before you guys get off?
No, we'll just figure out what there is. James will no doubt want to do whatever the game show is, where he can get up on a stage and dance around and sing something and just generally be very dramatic. So if he hasn't had the opportunity to do that type of game show before the final day, that's what we'll be seeking out.
Perfect. And so when you guys get back to Barcelona, are you going to spend some more time, or are you guys heading back right away after you get back?
No, we're straight back. So we've got a lunchtime flight on the day we get off the Magic. So yeah, we won't be in any hurry. So we'll probably go up to Cabanas for breakfast on that final morning and have a lazy breakfast, and then just get off the ship. When they kick us off, 9 o'clock, something like that, and head out to the airport.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to do it. I like going up to Cabanas rather than, especially if you have the early dinner, they give you the early breakfast, and I think it's nicer to go to Cabanas and just kind of relax before you get off rather than getting up so early. Yeah,
we did that last year, and I think somebody said it was quite busy on that morning, but we were probably there reasonably early, and Cabanas wasn't busy at all. Actually, it was very calm in there.
So you had a good point about, for those of us who do not live in Europe, you had a good point about the money and talking about the euros. Why don't you talk about that quick, John?
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking about what else might be interesting to people. And you think, most of the cruises go to Spain, they go to Italy, they probably take in something in France as well. Is that all going to be complicated? And the answer is it really isn't. All of those countries use the same currency, which is the euro. So you've only got to worry about taking one currency with you. And the thing people, I guess, also worry about is I'm going to places where English isn't the first language. And my experience of all of those countries is, because we're going to areas which are very touristy, make most of their income from tourism, I don't think there'll be a problem for anybody going there finding somebody easily who speaks reasonable English. So I think med cruises shouldn't be scary at all. The currency's not a problem. Everybody will speak English, or you'll be able to find somebody. So I don't think there's anything to worry about at all.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we're really excited about ours, and it sounds like you guys are pretty excited as well.
Oh, yeah, really excited. Can't wait. It's less than 60 days for us now, so can't wait to get out there and be back on the Magic.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. I got a couple questions for you before we finish up, and no right or wrong answers, but I think we kind of talked about like some of the things you guys are looking forward to doing on the ship. How about this one? Aqua Dunk or the treadmill in the gym? Which one are you going to?
Okay, well, it's an interesting question. I can't give you a one-word answer. Because we've only taken cruises to Northern Europe previously and not in the middle of summer, we haven't really done a cruise where it's been warm, hot for a couple of days. So we haven't been anywhere near the pools at all yet. So this will be the first occasion where the kids will get to go in the pools. So probably we're more likely to do some swimming stuff this time. Perfect. So I'll try and encourage the kids to do, which one is it on the Magic? Aqua Dunk.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
It's the Aqua Dunk, so the one where the trapdoor falls and you get a little free fall there. So our kids are looking.
Well, our kids aren't super brave, so I'm not sure I'll get them doing that, but they will be in the swimming pool.
Perfect. All right, how about this one here? Movies on the Funnel Vision or in the theater?
Probably neither. I'll tell you. So I don't really get watching a movie on Funnel Vision. I don't really understand how that works. So we almost certainly won't do that. Although if the kids are in the pool, maybe we will. And we've never been to the Buena Vista Theatre, I think it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just because you can see a movie anywhere. We can see a movie anytime we like in when we're at home. I don't go on a cruise really to sit in a theatre and watch a movie. So we've never done that. Having said that, maybe A Wrinkle in Time or something might still be on, which we haven't seen. So I wouldn't rule it out. It's possible, but it's unlikely that we'll do either.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's hard on the cruises that you have picked and that we've picked as well. I mean, there's just such busy cruises. There's so many things to do in the ports. I think, kind of the time to do that maybe is in the the Caribbean, when you have a little bit more free time, I guess, on the ship. So rather, to take an hour or two downtime to watch a movie, I think is a little bit easier in the Caribbean than it is on these trips over in Europe.
Yeah, I think there'll be more interesting things for us to do than go sit and watch a movie.
Yeah, I'm with you there. There's a lot of fun things to do. Okay, breakfast at Cabanas or Lumiere's, the sit down. Where would you rather go?
Oh, Cabanas every time. If you were to ask our kids, their favourite food experience above everything else is Cabanas, is breakfast in Cabanas. They love the pancakes. They just love everything about the breakfast in Cabanas. So that's where we'll be every day.
Okay. How about Palo? Any interest in that someday?
Well, we haven't done it, and we're not planning to do it this time. We're a kind of staying together family, I suppose. That's generally what we do. You know, our kids do go to the kids club, but they don't spend hours every day in the kids club. We tend to do as much as we can as a family. You know, and Caroline and I might go and take an hour or two to go and sit in a bar and just chat to some other people and have a drink in the evening. But it's not something we spend a lot of time doing. So no, so we'll probably eat with our kids every night.
Yeah, I like the dinners together. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's that time to be together as a family, and they do a good job of making it fun as well. So I'm kind of with you on that. All right, 2 last ones for you. Would you like to see one of the bigger ships someday come over to Europe? The Dreamer, the Fantasy, or maybe one of the new ones?
Okay, I don't know about big ship versus little ship or smaller ship. I can't really comment. I'd like to go on one of the bigger ships, and it's definitely in our mind to go to the Caribbean sometime. So to go and experience one of the bigger ships. So I'm not going to answer your question again. I think Disney could do some more interesting things in Europe. So I think their round Britain itineraries could do with being made more interesting. So I think they only do one cruise that goes to Belfast, for example, which is the capital of Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. And Northern Ireland's kind of interesting these days because there's a big Titanic museum, which our kids would love to go to, and we haven't managed to do that yet. Quite a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed in and around Northern Ireland. So there's quite a lot of Game of Thrones things you can do if that interests you. So I don't think Disney really make the most of the opportunities around the UK at this point. So I think Disney could do better there. And actually, I think there's some opportunities for Disney kind of to go further east in the Mediterranean. So there are a lot of cruises that start off in Venice, so east side of Italy, and then head off down to some of the Greek islands and then come back taking in Croatia and some of those ex-Yugoslavian countries. And Disney don't do that. So I think there are some opportunities for Disney to expand their itineraries in Europe generally. Whether they would send a big ship to do that or one of the existing smaller ships, I don't know. I don't think it massively matters.
I think they could fill the big ship if they sent it over there, but, you know, as you're talking, it just got me thinking, you know, when they get the new ships, you know, maybe the thing that they could do, and I'd love to see them do it one summer, is to maybe send the Magic and the Wonder over so they had 2 ships. You know, with one ship, it's hard to do everything that they do. They spread it out quite a bit, but if you had 2 ships over there, you could really take advantage of, like you said, out of Venice down into Croatia. Hopefully things will stabilize in Turkey, maybe get down to Turkey again. There's, like you said, there's just so many different places that they could go. Maybe if they put 2 ships over one summer, they could really take advantage of that and give us the opportunity to go to some different ports. So, yeah.
I think so. It does feel as if kind of, I mean, some of the Mediterranean ones, so the cruise we're doing, Barcelona around and back to Barcelona, probably runs 3 or 4 times. But most of the other cruises that Disney do to Europe in the summer, each cruise pretty much runs once. Right. So you've got one opportunity to do it and one time only. I think there's maybe, you know, Amsterdam's an interesting destination. I think there's maybe one cruise the whole summer that goes to Amsterdam. So, yeah, I think sending a couple of ships over, I think they could do much more interesting, have much more interesting opportunities for people, make it a bit more varied.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you answered one of my other questions, and I hesitate to ask this one, but I'm going to ask it anyways, and I'll ask it again afterwards. Where are you guys sailing next after this one? Or what are your thoughts as far as where would you want to go next?
Well, we've looked, obviously, because the 2019 schedules are out. And I think maybe we're going to have 2019 as a year off. Okay, is how it's looking. We'd love to go to Alaska, but if we're going to go do an Alaska cruise from the UK, obviously we've got to fly all the way over to Vancouver. You're not going to do that just to do a cruise and then fly back again. You're going to want to spend probably another week in and around Vancouver or that area, maybe coming down to where you are as well, down to Seattle or somewhere to explore. So that becomes very expensive very quickly. Clearly, any cruise to Alaska is expensive. A Disney cruise to Alaska is particularly expensive. Add on flights and another week in and around Vancouver. So it's expensive. So we need to save up a little bit if we want to do that. But we would love to do an Alaska cruise one day, but it won't be 2019, I don't think. And we'd probably like to do a Caribbean at some point. But I suppose my difficulty with it is finding the right time of the year, because we'd like to probably do something where we go to Disney World, so spend a few days in the parks, go on a cruise, spend another couple of days in the parks, something like that. So 2 weeks, but mixing it up. And I'm not sure the best time of year to go. We did Disney World in the summer 3 or 4 years ago, and it was really hot, really humid. There were thunderstorms every afternoon. It was incredibly busy. So we had a great time, but it might have been nicer if we'd gone at a different time of year. So it's trying to fit it in. It's trying to find a time of year where it's not hurricane season. It fits in with kids' holidays. We probably don't want to do Christmas because it's unbelievably expensive. I don't know. So we'd like to do that one day, but we kind of haven't figured it out yet.
No, well, no problem. And the most important thing is in just a little over a month, you guys are going to be back on the Magic and enjoying your time in the Mediterranean. So I didn't mean to go too far out in the future.
Did. No, exactly. But you kind of have to think, because obviously we haven't talked about placeholders this time. We booked this cruise that we're about to go on using when we were on the Disney Magic last time. So we took advantage of the 10% discount, reduced deposit and the onboard credit. So it would be really nice to book a placeholder this time. $250, I think it is, isn't it, to get a placeholder?
Definitely.
But you've got to use it within 24 months. So we're going in May this year. If we're not doing something in 2019, that means May 2020 is our deadline. And that's kind of difficult. If we wanted to do something in the summer of 2020, then the placeholder will have run out already. So it's a bit of a frustration. We don't think it's quite going to work out for us how we'd want.
Right. And just to remind our listeners, if you do put that money down as a placeholder and it doesn't work out, that you can't find something that's going to fit your schedule, you do get that $250 back, or when you when you cancel the placeholder, or when the placeholder runs out. So that is kind of an advantage of it. But if it's not going to fit out time frame for you, then obviously I understand the frustration for you this time.
Yeah. Yep. So, but anyway, back to the positive.
Exactly.
We're really looking forward to being in Barcelona in 50-something days' time.
Well, I look forward to kind of following along and seeing some of the pictures as you guys sail through the Mediterranean. And I really appreciate you coming back on. You're our most popular guest. You've been on here 4 times, so I guess.
Maybe I'm the most frequent. May not be the most popular.
No, I think frequent and popular. So if you're willing to, I'd love to have you come back on, and maybe later on this summer we can talk about how your guys' cruise went and just kind of compare the two and see how it all worked out.
Exactly. Well, I think most of the places we're going to are the same, so it'd be really interesting to compare notes afterwards on what we liked, what we didn't like, what we think went well, and what didn't go so well. That'd be great.
Definitely. And I guess before we close out, any other tips or things you can think of that you want to talk about before we shut down the show for today?
No, I think we're all good. Just have a great time if you're going cruising.
Definitely. Well, thanks again, John. I wish you and your family the best as you guys head over to Barcelona and take your cruise. And I look forward to talking to you later this summer and kind of comparing.
Thanks, Steve. Bye now.
All right, take care. Well, that is going to wrap up our show today. I really want to thank John once again for coming on and sharing some of his thoughts and ideas as he, Carolyn, and the boys get ready to head out on their magical trip to the Mediterranean here in just a couple weeks. And I know you guys are out there listening, and I wish you guys all just the best as you head out on your next adventure through the Mediterranean. As always, if you'd like to get in touch with us, Christy and I, at the DCL Podcast between now and our next show, you can reach me at DCL Podcast on Facebook or through Twitter at DCL Podcast. And you can always reach Christy at packyourpixiedust.com, Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook, and Pack YR Pixie Dust on Twitter. And as always, if you're heading out on your next trip before our next show, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe journeys as you head out on your next adventure. Thanks again for coming back and taking a listen, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.